So, Kamla, we want to thank you for creating time to be with us in this documenting of women's contributions to the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment. And we appreciate the work you have done for the Kenyan women to bring the struggle to where we are. And having been one of those involved in that struggle in the forefront, maybe you can tell us a little about yourself. What motivated you to start pushing for women's empowerment in Kenya?
What do you mean? Well, I was always very interested in the development of the woman or the girl child. I really wanted the women to go forward and interested in their education and also in their general development. So the best way to do that was to join other women, get together and work together. So in our time, we founded National Council of Women, and through the National Council of Women, we got the women together and we worked on all the aspects of the development of the women. And after the National Council of Women, we founded Political Alliance of Women, and in that alliance, by that, we had graduated a bit and we were working for the political development of the women. With the National Council of Women, we had leaders like Wangari Maathai. There's nobody there who doesn't know Wangari Maathai. And Wangari Maathai is the one under whose leadership we started the Green Belt. And that's where the environment issue came, and Wangari took it up very seriously. We worked very closely with Wangari, and she spearheaded it, but we were all with her together. And we founded the Green Belt movement, and we did the best for the environment of Kenya. I can remember very well how Wangari used to treasure Kruger forest. She didn't want, I think today if she saw what's happening, she would really jump out of her grave, you know. You know, the way she was very sort of very mad about preserving the environment, preserving the nature, preserving the trees, you know, because I was very closely associated with her, and under her leadership, we all joined her together.
And in this struggle for women's empowerment and the girl child, I'm sure as the struggle continued, we entered the struggle for the constitutional review, making of the current Kenyan constitution. What role did you play in that struggle, in pushing for women's agenda in the constitution?
You see, the constitution, we worked very closely with, to begin with, you know about the Bomas of Kenya. Yeah. And luckily I was the only Asian woman who was a delegate to the Bomas of Kenya. At that time I was the only Asian woman who was appointed. I was also a delegate at the Bomas of Kenya.
And you were nominated by which group to Bomas?
To the Bomas, I don't really know because this, I think so, I'm not too sure. But I think I had worked closely with Mata Karwa. I think it was that group, but I wouldn't know for sure.
So the women's organizations.
It was the women's organization, and even in the Bomas we had a very strong women's group. Whenever women's issues were being debated, we were all together.
Okay.
And it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure working there because getting our new constitution ready, and we had a lot of cooperation from women, you know. Lot, very closely we worked together, you know. I remember one day, I very clearly remember, there was the issue of the president being discussed. And they said, somebody said that the president of Kenya has to be from a Kenyan ethnic group. Somebody like a Kenyan born. And I shot up, I got up. And I said, no way. Anybody should be given an opportunity, why not? So then I remember Odinga came to me and he says to me, he says, oh, so Kamla, you want to be the president of Kenya? You want to be the president of Kenya? I said, why not if the time comes? I remember that very well, you see, because he thought, because I shot up and I said, no, we cannot, we can't say that the presidency is only for, what is the word used? Kenyan ethnic group or something like that. So I got up, I shot like anything and I said, no way, it should be open to any Kenyan, you know. And he came to me and he said, oh, so you look, Kamla, you want to be the president of Kenya? I said, why not? If I get an opportunity, why not? But Bomas of Kenya was a great experience. Great experience. And I must say, Kenya produced a great constitution. It's if you look at it and if you have the time to study each and every chapter even now, you do realize that it's a beautiful constitution, very, very good for the country. You know? So, especially for the women also.
Okay. And in terms of now the women's struggle to ensure that we got such a constitution, what role did you play? In terms of now and helping the women or enabling the women to be able to contribute or engage in the constitutional process so as to enable them now come up with that kind of constitution.
Well, you see, we were very involved. In the Bomas also, the women's group was very active. And we always had, there was also a women's group spearheaded by the women. Whenever an issue came and we wanted that issue to be brought forward in women's, for the women, we all got together, we held meetings and we made sure that this issue we got through, you know. There was a very big group of women there, you know, from different, from every part of Kenya, you know. All those women who were nominated to be in the Bomas, you know. Bomas was a great experience. It was a great experience. And I must say that Mr. Guy did a great work. The one who was spearheading, Professor Guy, he did a great work.
I just wanted to bring, when we were chatting earlier, you were telling us about your home being a place for the women's meeting. And I thought that was a great contribution to women's struggle, because you made sure that they had a place that they could meet, they could
Well, you see, what the issue was, we were working on the women's issues, but we always were, as is a known fact, we were always short of funds. You know? And I had a home and a very central place in Westland. And I had a big compound in there. So I said, why can't I offer my place when we are short of funds? Let us do what we can for the women. And later on it became known as Women's Home, you know. At a point my husband said to me, maybe I will give this place to the women, you know. But we had a lot of women's meetings there, because you see, women couldn't always afford outside places. We couldn't afford hotels and things. I remember this when a South African president who was just retiring, his wife came to Kenya. What was his name? I've forgotten the name. When she came to Kenya, and we had actually invited her. We went to South Africa for a women's meeting, the Women Day, and there we invited her to come to Kenya. And now when she came here, we women wanted to give her, to entertain her in a very special way. But we realized that we women don't have enough funds for that. So I offered my place. I said, don't worry, we can use my garden. So I offered my place, and we had a very nice women's do in my home, where we entertained the First Lady of South Africa. You know, we had lots of, even Wangari Maathai, when she wanted to organize something, she wanted a venue, but you know, we women couldn't always afford it. So I said, okay, let's use the place. And I must say my husband was very cooperative. I've told you once what happened when Parliament was debating affirmative action, and they wanted to, one or two MPs there had raised up the issue. What was the name?
That was the affirmative action in the constitution.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of affirmative action.
Yes.
And this was a very, very special issue to us. So the women all stayed in, we were having a meeting in my house, and we all stayed there only till midnight, because the issue was in the Parliament till midnight. And women, some slept there, whatever, in my sitting room, and they were debating this issue about affirmative action. And in the end, at midnight, a decision was made, and they couldn't get rid of affirmative action. And we celebrated it. My husband was very cooperative. He went and brought a bottle of champagne from the fridge. He said, come on, I am giving this to you women because you won, you see. And we actually champagned it, you know. I think it's, Dr. Kabir has written this instance in a book, you know.
Yeah. In the time for the harvest. Yeah.
Yeah, because you see, we were very worried that this affirmative action shouldn't, this shouldn't go out, you know. It should stay in the constitution. But of course, the MPs were debating it, and at midnight the decision came. And we said, hey, we won, you know.
So part of what women then would do when they came to your home was also to lobby, carry out those lobbying for
and you see, because you see, the point is, there are one or two issues. One was that women couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
We couldn't hire hotels and things.
Yeah.
And secondly, my house was very central.
Okay.
Westland at that point, from the town, it literally used to take me 7 minutes. From my home to the town used to take 7 minutes. And it was practical.
Okay.
So I felt if I have a place and it can be used by my women, why not?
Okay.
So it was always, and another good thing was my husband was very cooperative. He said to me, oh, maybe I'm donating this house to the women. He was very cooperative, very cooperative.
Okay. And in addition now to the space, you would also give them food, tea, the way we have taken a nice
Well,
cup
you
of
see,
tea.
in our culture, if you in your home, whoever comes, you don't only have a meeting, you feed them also, you look after them. That's the hospitality, That's
Okay. And during this struggle, because it was part of the struggle now to bring in women's issues in the constitution, were there any challenges that you experienced? Any challenges or any problems that were there? Now, as you participated in this struggle.
Yeah, when we were in the Bomas, there were always issues which were related to the women, and we did have a women's lobby group. I've forgotten the name of the lady who was spearheading this group. I don't know, maybe you remember the name. So we all used to get together, and when this particular issue was being debated, all the women used to get together and make sure that our issues went through.
So at least women were focused on the particular agenda.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I must say, women had a very united front here. We were very united, which is a big thing, I mean, you can accomplish anything if you are together.
Yeah.
We did it.
Any challenges?
Pardon?
Challenges, problems that were there? Challenge.
Bomas.
During now as you as one of the women who are pushing for women's agenda.
Well, my dear, women's agenda or any other issue in the country, there are always challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, today, even when I was reading the papers now, there are challenges. There are issues. Even I'm very much with the government today, but I was reading a paper now, and I'm not very happy with some of the issues even my own government is doing. Challenges are there.
So some of the challenges are political?
Well, there are political, and what is very sad to me is that we are being very political. We are being very political. Because to me what matters is, what's important is the country. What you want to see. Do I want to see that Bui becomes a leader or Kamla wants to become a leader? I don't want to see that. I want to see the country moves forward. Our country is very important.
Yeah.
At the moment, what I see, to me, what's most important is, let us be united, and let's see the country moves forward. At no cost, we don't want any damage to the country. That's my thinking. What's happening today? What's important is that we should stand united, and the country should work together. We should be together. Be it Mahindi, Mazungu, or African or anybody, we are all one.
We are all Kenyans.
We are all Kenyans. But you see, the thing is, if something happens tomorrow, you suffer, I suffer, anybody suffers, Not only one person suffering, two are suffering, we are all going to suffer, And all our children are going to suffer, aren't they? Because they are all our children, aren't they?
And when it comes now to the struggle for women's empowerment, now coming up to where we are, like now you are able to contribute a lot towards now the making of the new constitution and many other areas working within the women's movement. Now, what would you recommend in terms of moving that struggle forward in regard to women's empowerment?
My first and foremost ambition is, let us stand united. Let us stand united because the future doesn't belong to you or to me or to her. Future belongs to everybody, to all the women. So as far I'm concerned, my biggest wish is that let us stand united and work for the betterment and the unity of our country. Because country belongs to all of us.
Yeah.
You know, if you suffer, I suffer, or I suffer, you suffer. So let us all have the motive that we are all one, and we are all going to be one. That's what's important. When does it carry you? That's a necessity, isn't it? Well, it applies even in a home. You see, even in a home when father goes one way, mother goes one way, the children will go in another way. So even the home doesn't stay united. And same applies to the country.
So in terms of the women, they should unite for a common front in that struggle.
Yes, let's have a stand which is good for the country. Not for you, not for me, but for the betterment and the good of our country. That's what we need. I think that's what everybody wants. I suppose you want, everybody want, we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're not only looking at ourselves, we are also looking at the future of our children. You know, we want to see the country staying, you know, good. That's what's important. I don't know.
Okay. So we are...
Is it bearable?
Yeah, I think these were the main questions we wanted to know in terms of the women's struggle for women's empowerment to bring us where we are today in the country. And we appreciate your contributions.
Well, contributions are minor compared to the country we are having, you know. These are minor contributions, and whatever little we can offer, let us offer it.
Yes.
That's what's important, you know. You see, if every individual in Kenya decides, I'm going to do my best for my country, and we can create an utopia country. We can do it.
Yes, it is possible.
We can do it. I hope all said is okay.
Yeah, it is really okay.
I hope Bambu is happy.
Oh, maybe one question I think I forgot earlier, and sometimes we always like to ask, if you maybe form part of the profiling, your background, maybe as a young person, so that you grew up now to be interested to push for the empowerment of the girls and women. What was your area of specialization, even in school?
Area?
Specialization.
I don't know. I'm a Kenyan. I'm born here. My grandfather, who was a doctor, who came to Kenya. You know, when Kenya Railways was being built, he came as a doctor. He was hired as a doctor, and he worked then when the Kenya Railway was being built. That's when he came to Kenya. And then when my grandfather was here, naturally my father was here. And we are all, my mother was from here, we are all born in Kenya. And as far as I'm concerned, to me there's no other home but Kenya.
I'm saying also in terms of education, because sometimes maybe what one studied influences your interest when it comes to pushing for certain positions. In terms of academic education, what did you study?
Well, I afterwards, when I grew up, I went to London and I specialized in a nursery school work. Oh, I must tell you a very, very interesting story. You know, I came back from London. I was married then.
Okay.
And I came back from London, and this was just 63 when we were getting independent. And I saw an advert. I had done some nursery school training work in London. And I saw an advert in the paper looking for a headmistress for a nursery school. And this nursery school at that time, this is a very interesting history, you see. This nursery school at that time was only for Mazungus. No Asian or Africans were allowed in that school. This is very crucial issue. So no Asian or Africans were allowed. But I had the guts and I applied. I applied, there was a vacancy for the matron's job in the nursery, and I applied. I said, to hell with it. No Mazungus, no only Mazungus, but let me apply. I applied also. And
but had they stated in the paper, only a white would apply?
No, they didn't.
No.
But I knew the nursery was only for Mazungus, no Africans or no Asians were allowed. So, but I applied.
Yeah.
And I believe it or not, I was called for an interview. And as usual, I must have spoken so much that I got the job. Now, when I got the job, the staff was 100% Muzungu. They couldn't believe that here no Mahindis are allowed, no Africans are allowed, and how come there is a Mahindi matron? Even the staff wouldn't accept it. They were all Muzungus. And the very next day, second day, there used to be Dr. McCallan. McCallan used to be the head of the medical department in the City Hall. And his daughter used to come to the school, nursery, where I was appointed. And he came to pick his daughter. Now, the assistant matron, I remember her name was Mrs. Bergen. As soon as Dr. McCallan came, Mrs. Bergen went to his car. And she complained. Because you see, when I started the work on the 15th, and when the children, any parent who hadn't paid the children's fees by 15th, you are meant to talk to the parents. So this Mrs. Bergen was there, and I told her, Mrs. Bergen, can you talk to the parents, because I have just started, I don't know the parents, you know. So when Dr. McCallan came, Mrs. Bergen went to Dr. McCallan's car outside, and she said to him, look at this Mahindi woman, she just come, and I was meant to be off at 4 o'clock, and she didn't allow me to go at 4 because I am meant to talk to the parents to clear the fees, you know. So Dr. McCallan came to the inside, and he said to me, Mrs. Sikand, can I see you in the office for a minute? He was a very nice man, I must say. And I went to the inside, and you know, he said to me, Mrs. Sikand, Mrs. Bergen was meant to be off. Why didn't you allow her to go off? I said, Dr. McCallan, I just started the job yesterday. I wish she had told me and not reported to you. You know, I wish she had told me and not reported to you, and I would have seen that she goes, you know, I'd organize it. So he apologized to me. Sorry, Mrs. Sikand. And he walked out. Because he realized the woman should have talked to me. Because she was a Mazungu. And when I took the job, it was all Mazungus. Teachers Mazungus, children Mazungu, no Hindi or Africans were allowed. But after that, I'll tell you, we became so popular. You know, all these are people, my connections with these people, Dr. Gichukia, her children came there, Mrs. Kiano, Paul and Guy, lot of UN people, because our nursery became so good, because then we started, I come with new ideas from London and all that, so we developed it, you see, and all the Mzungus, all the Africans, Hindis, all used to come, the children there, all the top leadership used to come there, and that's where my association with Gichukias and Kianos and all that, because these were the women then with the grown-up, with the nursery school children, you know, so we became the top nursery in the country. But that was a real struggle, you know. Can you believe it? It was really meant to be for Mzungus. No Hindi or no African was allowed. But I had the guts to apply. I saw the vacancy in the paper and I applied, you know. And I had just come back from London with new ideas, you know. And then we became so successful that all the UN people, all the top leadership in Kenya came to our nursery. You can ask people like Gichukia and them, you know. Gichukia is my friend up to today.
Okay.
All this is where my contacts came from.
Okay.
Even Wangari Wangari didn't have children at that time. No.
Okay. That
But
was good.
that was quite a historical.
So it was actually challenging the status quo in terms of the ratio.
Yeah, because you see,
segregation.
before the independence, it was strictly for Mzungus only. No Hindis, no Africans allowed.
Yeah.
And I had the guts to apply. I said, to hell with it. I applied, I saw the vacancy and I applied, you know. And luckily I was called and I was appointed. Because you see, why I think I was appointed? Because I know I had come out with the new ideas. I had just done the training in London and I come out with all the new ideas. And obviously they must have been impressed, you know.
Yeah.
But
Congratulations, because then you started bringing the change.
oh, that was something very special. I can never forget that, you know. That I can't forget.
So you struggle for justice and equality started early on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, before.
This is when I came back. I was married, and I was in London with my husband, and I joined this nursery school education, and then I came back and I saw this vacancy, and I said, to hell with it. Even if it's only Mzungus, let's apply. But Dr. McCallan was a Mzungu, but a decent man. He was a good man. I can't say he wasn't. He was a good man. So we had the top caliber in Nairobi that time. You can ask Mrs. Gichukia and all those people.
Is it still there? That is school. Is it still there today?
I don't know what it is today. I wouldn't know. I worked there for many years. So I don't even know now whether it's there or not. It should be. I don't see why not. But depends on the city council how much work we are doing. Depends on our city council. It was a great pleasure though. It was a pleasure. They couldn't believe a Hindi woman. And all the staff were Mzungus. Then Mrs. Bergen resigned the next day. She was the assistant minister. Because you see, Dr. McCallan told her off. Because I told him, I said, Dr. McCallan, why didn't she tell me? You know, I said, I've just joined today, and why didn't you tell me? You know? Anyway, you have to, I mean, as these issues, you have to fight for them, you know.
Yeah.
You can't. The only thing is, I suppose you have to do it.
So we appreciate, we are grateful, and
Well, this is an old story.
because of your contributions in the struggle, and that is now where the women today are starting on to push the struggle forward.
Well,
Yeah.
the women today also give them the credit.
Yeah.
The younger woman is now stronger. She is better educated. She give them the appreciate them also,
Yeah.
because they also have the courage,
Yeah.
and better education helps them.
Yeah.
So you can't say these women are because of us. They are women through their own strength.
No, what we are saying
They're
is
coming through their own
they
strength,
push,
you know.
they push the struggle forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, from where now this generation have left it, then they push it forward. Yeah.
Well, also maybe they have more opportunities. They have more opportunities than us, you know. Don't you think so? They have better opportunities, more of opportunities. And also, they are in independent Kenya. They are not like when I went to a Mazungu nursery.
Okay. And when you say they have better opportunities to push the agenda forward, what are some of the opportunities that you see?
Well, to begin with, they have better education, don't they? They have more opportunities.
Okay.
They have more opportunities. And it's an independent country now. The sky is open for them.
Okay.
Of course, then, even if the sky is open, you yourself also have to do things.
Yeah.
Huh? You cannot, everything is open for you, but your own courage matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing can happen without your own, if you don't pull yourself together. That's what matters.
Okay. So we are grateful. We thank you very
Anyway,
much.
you know this all from long ago, Mumbai. You know it all, don't you? This is nothing new to you.
I have also heard something new.
What?
I have heard a new story which I didn't know.
What?
That you started the struggle when you were very young, when you came back from London. The first struggle was to fight the racial discrimination.
Yeah, but when
And which you opened the door for others.
when the nursery was only for Mazungus,
Yes.
and no Hindi or African child was allowed ever.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, to hell with it, I'm applying, you know. Because
And-
I had come with new education about nursery school. So I said, to hell with it, I'm applying, you know. I applied.
Yeah, and getting in there, you were not swallowed in. You tried to struggle
Oh
to
no,
open the door.
you
to
cannot
bring change.
understand. Muzungu, they were all Muzungu staff, and
Yeah.
one or two were South Africans. But I sorted them all out gradually.
So it was
Gradually it
really-
became the top nursery in Kenya.
Yeah.
Ask people like Mrs. Gichukia, whose children came. Those are the people who children came, and they bred the children there. You
And
know.
I'm sure the white children started complaining.
You see, no, one thing was with the whites, when they saw that it's working for the better, they didn't remove the children. You know, it's not that they said a Hindi woman has come, let's, African children are coming, let's go. No, but they didn't. Because maybe we were trying to develop things for the better, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it did become a top nursery. That was the first struggle I had.
Okay, okay.
I don't think you knew about this.
No, that one I didn't know.
Historical factor.
Yeah.
Anyway, God be with everybody. What you need is God's blessing.
Yeah.
That's what's needed. Anybody for more tea or anything? Shall I ask them to bring more tea?
No, we can take a coffee.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea. Angelina! Angelina!
Yeah.